All right, welcome back, and we're going to continue with another one of my favorite recipes. Eventually, we're going to need something to sop up and soak up all that alcohol we've been drinking during our Cooking with Drunkle clips. So we are going to make some bread, and super easy bread. Bread is really hard, right? Well, not this one. It is a no-knead bread recipe. Basically, we put stuff together in a bowl, wrap it up, let it sit overnight, and then we come back to it, and we're going to make a loaf of bread that is going to look essentially like this. So this is a great, this is pizza dough recipe that we've used before, which we'll probably link to at another time. A couple of great, just super easy, great. And I mean, it is like an artisanal bread though. If you'll see when it's all said and done, the crumb structure, it's fantastic. So we will have the amounts on here as well, but for volume, but if you have a scale, use it. It's just easier, more exact, because things with humidity levels and whatnot differ. So just use a scale. But this first part, super easy. 400 grams of bread flour, dump in a bowl. 8 grams of salt. Just 1 gram of yeast, very little amount of yeast because time is going to take care of this. Okay, we're just gonna whisk that together so it's evenly distributed. Now get rid of our whisk, set that aside. And this is the most labor-intensive part of the whole thing. Dump our water in. And then all we're gonna do, mix with our hands. You can use a wooden spoon. I just rather use my hand though. Mix it together until it forms a pretty shaggy dough. It's gonna be kind of a sticky, wet dough, but that's what it's meant to be. In fact, if it is dry and not sticky, go ahead and just wet your hand. But I think this will be good. Make sure you get everything around. Pop it off. And this is it. Basically, go ahead and scrape bits of dough off your fingers, pop that in there, and that is it for right now. We are gonna wrap this tightly in plastic wrap, and we're gonna let this sit on a kitchen counter, ambient temperature, whatever that is for your house, anywhere between 65, 75 degrees. A minimum of 12 hours. I usually do it for a full day. It is 2 o'clock. So we're gonna come back at 2 o'clock tomorrow and finish it. Like that literally is it. We're gonna wrap it and let it sit. Good morning. We have our bowl for step 2. Our bread that we mixed yesterday, that was step 1. This is now step 2. It has been anywhere from 18 to 24 hours since we last put all these things in the bowl. Mix it together. Now we're gonna take a peek into this bowl. See these strands? That is gluten. And those big bubbles, that is our nice crumb structure. So now what we're gonna do in this step 2 is we're gonna just form it into into a small bowl. And then it's gonna rise for another 2 hours before we finally bake it. So lightly floured surface, lightly flour your hands. And then we're just gonna peel it out of the bowl. Be sure to get everything from the sides. And it's gonna basically just ooze out of the bowl. Okay? Don't worry about every little last bit, that's fine. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do is just simply sort of lift up from the outside and put it into the middle. Lift it from the outside into the middle. Just forming a bowl. We're not really kneading. We're not working the dough. We're just shaping it until we have a round shape and a bit of a seam in the middle. And yeah, literally that's it. What we're gonna do, take this towel though, and I'm gonna invert this on the towel. And that's it, seam side down. You can dust it with a little bit more flour right on top if you're concerned about it sticking to the towel. And then here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cover it. See you in 2 hours. All right, now it's finally time to bake. It's been 2 hours. Dough has risen a little bit, and it's gonna be ready to pop into our Dutch oven, which we've preheated in the oven at 475 degrees for about 45 minutes. We wanna make sure everything is super hot, and our Dutch oven is gonna create that steam oven. It kind of replicates like a real bakery oven. So do not forget though, this is gonna be really, really hot. So don't go to like grab the top after you put the bread in, because you'll burn yourself and be really hot. So using your towel, and now we're gonna use our towel that we had the bread in as our vehicle to get this in. Now, don't worry about it if it like gets in there all wonky or whatnot. It's gonna puff up and do its thing in there, but ideally you're looking to just simply invert this quickly into the Dutch oven. So let's see how successful this is. Oh, I'm stuck to my towel a little bit. Oh, perfect. Okay, came off really nicely. Now, don't forget, Dutch oven lid, really, really hot. Use your towel. So now we're gonna put the lid back on. We're gonna go right back into the oven, lower rack, 475 degrees, half an hour. We're gonna take the lid off, finish it for another 15 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven and whatnot, because we wanna get a nice, rich chestnut color. So we'll see you back here in a half an hour. It's been a half an hour. Let's take a peek. Don't forget your rag or mitts. And then we're gonna just pop the top off, take a peek. Oh, it's looking pretty. And you can sort of slide it away from the edge if you want. And then right back in the oven. That's looking pretty done. So I'm probably only gonna do about 15 more minutes, but depending on your oven temp, altitude, it might be as much as half an hour. Another 15 minutes and we're done. I'm gonna just use a little spatula to help me out, a towel, because it's gonna be hot. And look at that beautiful, rich brown color. We're gonna let it rest on just a wire rack for about an hour until you cut into it. See? All right, our finished product here. Notice the large irregular crumb structure? Perfect, just what we want. Nice, thick crust, brown. And then if you can hear the top, that nice little hollow sound, exactly what you want. We're gonna eat ours with a couple of pâtés from a market in Paris from our trip, and a little bit of Dijon mustard, and some butter too, of course. All right, well, I hope you make this bread as soon as possible. It's super easy and delicious, so eat up.